And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite, to give a goodwill message on this occasion, one of the regulators. And the beauty of technology is that you can be anywhere in the world and participate at events at the other side of the world. Earlier, we had announced that he was joining us virtually, and so we'll take his goodwill message. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Engineer Simbi Wabote, FNSSC. Please put a round of applause for him as he joins us virtually. Please would like your attention to be on the screen as he'll give his message. Please let the applause be better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richmond and Tari Wario. Let me start by recognizing a representative of the Commission Chief Executive, my friend and brother, Francis Ogari, who is an Executive Director of NUPROC. Let me recognize the Chairman of NDENP. I call him my Egbon, Ladi Jadesimi. Let me recognize the pioneer MD of NDENP, my senior colleague in Shell, Lai Fatuna. I also recognize the current managing director of the company, also perhaps my junior colleague in Shell. He is Gbite Falade. I recognize the presence of the chairman of OPTS and the MD of Chevron, Rick Kennedy. Also recognizing directors of NCDMB. I know I have in the hall Tunde Adanala, as well as Patrick Oba, who is making his way to the event. I can also see from the screen the past chairman of PETAN. He is Bank Anthony Korafo, who is also present in the crowd. I recognize all MDs of indigenous producers present in the hall, and also perhaps MDs of IOCs that are also represented here. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must say I am very pleased to make this remark at the rebrand and launch of Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC and its subsidiaries. The Niger Delta E&P PLC is being rebranded today to Aradel Holdings PLC. I have, as a young man perhaps, also followed the history of Aradel Holdings PLC from its founding over 31 years ago as Midas Drilling Fund to its evolution as NDENP PLC. In the past 3 decades, Aradel has pioneered several initiatives in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria as an indigenous producer. It is on record that the company pioneered the concept of marginal field operations when it negotiated the farm out of Ogbele Field in 2000. It has since grown the daily production from this field from about 1,000 barrels of oil per day to 13,000 barrels of oil per day. And as said by the chairman, Chief Ladi Jayesimi, it is one of the most integrated oil and gas companies in Nigeria as an indigenous producer. They are existing in the upstream, in the midstream, and also in the downstream. The company also partnered with others to acquire OML 34 via the NV Western SPV, when the IOCs divested their interest and had run this asset commendably over the past 11 years. It is one of those poster child of NCDMB, including the likes of Peplat, which also came after ND Wetsan and also NDENP. Furthermore, the company pioneered modular refinery initiatives with the first train of 1,000 barrels per day, which has since expanded to 11,000 barrels per day. I recall before NCDMB started thinking about modular refineries, it was one of those companies I visited somewhere in Port Harcourt to understand how the modular refinery concept worked. And perhaps that was where I got my insight on how NCDMB will catalyze the existence of modular refineries in our country. And we have, to a large extent, pushed that boundary. I can say with some degree of certainty that the company is one of Nigeria's foremost integrated indigenous independent company. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to note that the Nigerian Content Initiative and later on the NOGIC Act 2010 made it possible for Aradel to exist and also giving rise to other indigenous independence. Therefore, the onus is on Aradel to ensure that this initiative called Nigerian Content Development, which is gaining momentum in the entire African continent, should be supported, should be protected, should be enhanced in order to create jobs, in order to take technology and develop our natural given resources, which of course is oil. I also call on Aradel to know that nobody bites the finger that fed it, which therefore means they must take the mantle of leadership and ensure that they propagate the ideals of local content, because they have benefited enormously from that act and have actually reaped the benefit and created jobs for Nigerians. That is what we intend to do. Today, the percentage of unemployment, according to the Bureau of Statistics, is almost about 40%. And if we don't drive local manufacturing, if we don't drive local production, if we don't take our destiny in our hand as a country, then we will be making a fundamental mistake. Aradel should be made to know that now Nigerians will be looking up to you. Nigerians will be expecting you not to take off the ladder that you climbed up to this position. Based on the vibrant and pragmatic implementation of the Act and the emergence of companies like Aradel, the future of energy industry is assured, notwithstanding the spate of divestments by the IOCs. I expect that Aradel will play an active role in the divestment process and must protect the brand local content in Nigeria as they want to protect their own brand, because they're a poster child of that act. The rebranding launch today is a key step that sets Aradel on a journey of becoming a listed entity. As a listed entity, Aradel will be seeking to access more debt and equity capital to fund growth in its operations and assets. And the role of the regulator, be it the upstream regulator, the downstream regulator, as well as the foremost regulator, NCDMB, will be very crucial to see them pass through this journey. This growth will translate to higher revenues to its shareholders and government, and will strengthen capacity in our industry. These are the heart of what NCDMB stands for. One of the commendable things that Laye Fatuna and his team have done, including the chairman, is the spirit of corporate governance. I can assure all Nigerians seated in the hall that these companies have succeeded because of their strict adherence to the principle of corporate governance. The owners of the business are not contractors. The owners of the business do not influence contracts. The owners of the business do not round trip in terms of what they do. And that has led to the success. I therefore employ all indigenous producers in this hall to take corporate governance seriously. They should, as owners of the business, detach themselves from the daily operations of their organizations. Because I have seen within the short stint of me being in the helms of affairs of NCDMB, that most local companies have died because they do not adhere to the principle of corporate governance. So Aradel is a great example. They have made significant return to their joint venture partners. And today I have not heard NNPC speak in the room, but I can tell you that this is one of the companies that NNPC Limited is proud to associate with. And we in NCDMB, given the push for local content and the need for corporate governance and the success being recorded by this company today, are very proud to associate with you. And we will continue to support you and ask you to be the leading light in the development of local content in our country. I can assure the CEO, the current CEO, my younger colleague, Peter Falade, the management and staff of Aradel, of the support of the board in this journey, a journey that will ultimately be beneficial to our industry and the country at large. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if there is any music that is worthy of playing at this event, it must be the Buga music by Kiss Daniel. Because Aradel, you have every reason to dance Buga and also walk around with the Buga toga in your arms and legs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for listening and God bless you all. But let me sincerely apologize for my inability to be with you in person because I am currently not around because of the exigencies of my work. Thank you very much and God bless you all.